Welcome everyone. Today we will be talking about succession planning, their steps and the process. Yes, exactly. I will brief you through the various steps, probably it's 5 or 6 steps that will be there. I will also take a proxy example of a proxy company and come up with a format which you might use it for your companies. Definitely yes, but you need to edit it to the requirement that is prevalent in your company, organization, or country per se. Now, the sample that I will be discussing is only for your understanding. With the steps that I will be discussing, I think everything will fall in place and everybody will come to know about the exact steps, or should I say, the processes in succession planning thereby. Yes, we will be talking about the components of succession plan. What are the various components? How do we manage it? How do we plan it? How do we execute it? We will try to provide an exercise for rating your organization in terms of future looking, in terms of succession planning, in terms of leadership development, in terms of gap identification, every component that can be given. Probably that is the glimpse that I would love to share with the audience of this video. Serves as the best as a basis for your understanding. That is what we will be looking into it. One thing is for sure, any company, any country, any industry, any vertical, employees leave. They always do. Why? Because there are no dearth of opportunities in today's world. There are plethora of opportunities and one beckons the other. So it is uh, as natural as it can be. And a market economics, the success will be determined by the quality will be determined by the money or the rewards that has been attached to it. So let us prepare for ourselves for that succession planning for that day when one individual, one critical position goes vacant. Does that mean the company stops working, operating? Probably not. So we should have a mechanism in place in case the employee leave. I'm talking about critical position out here. So what is succession plan? It's a systematic approach to building replacement workers to ensure continuity by identifying potential successors in critical work process. And I have used this term critical time and again. What is critical? Important. What is important? The thing which is a requirement, is a must, is a mandatory for smooth operation of the company's day-to-day activities, long-term targets, and so on. So it's a systematic approach of building replacement, of building manpower, of building processes, of building system in place in case one any untoward incident, accident, or probably situation arises, how to deal with it. And that is what is all about succession planning. It is all about going with the flow, going continuously, continue to identify the potential successor thereby. So what does it includes? It essentially includes the knowledge transfer, the know-how, the process, the strategies that an organization has been allowed to document key data, policies for critical work processes, exchange key process data and information from one individual or group to another, define how vital and important information will be retained within the organization despite attrition. Attrition is nothing but when people leave willingly, unwillingly, as the case might be. So it is what we like to go around it. We need to have everything in place as far as data are concerned, everything in place as far as knowledge transfer is concerned, transparency is concerned, everything in place as far as accessibility and execution is concerned for the organization, despite the availability of manpower or not. So, if we look into it, what happens? A pictorial graphical representation. This is x-axis is all about time. We are talking about time that goes around it. On the y-axis is the leadership influencing parameters that comes around it. Now, what is this? We are talking about the learning curve. The learning curve goes approves. In case there is somebody who leaves, there is a void that comes around it, and this is the void that we are talking about. This is the void which needs to be filled in. Similarly, so it's learning curve. By the time the person learns, picks up the tricks of the tricks, operates good for the company, everything works smoothly, but suddenly he decides to leave. Then again, what happened? This is the knowledge void that comes around it. This is where the company struggles to meet its expectation or operation. Now, these knowledge voids, every pits, if you look into it, every time a person joins, time a person leaves, there is a pitfalls of knowledge. There is a lacuna that takes place. That is what general understanding is all about it. So how do we fulfill it? So effect out here is where we can go around for the leadership things, where we need to be more transparent, where we need not be depending on a person specific, but probably is all about system specific. If we look into it, people are still leaving and joining. See, people are joining and leaving. Now, what are we looking into it? This is what your succession planning is all about it. If you look into out here, this is the succession plan that goes around and everybody stands to own about it. You have an extra succession time out here. You have an extra succession planning out here. As a result, what happens? The knowledge void, it becomes very less. This is what we are looking for it. The knowledge void becomes very less. People are being groomed to take up the newer position and to help the affairs of the operations of the organization. Now, this is what I would love to say in terms of the effect of leadership change on utility without succession planning. In succession planning, you see the smooth operation and the knowledge void was very, very minimalistic. But in case there are no leadership or no succession planning are in place, you see there is an abrupt change in the operation, abrupt and a long stay of absence in the company's operation. You have to look into it. See, this is absolutely where the company might actually fail. So there is where you will lose customer, you will lose your reputation, something which goes around it. Out here, the quality was being suffered for a longer period of time. But out here, there was an absolute absence. The company has to restart from the beginning. Now, is this good? You let me know, is this good? A company is in operation and it suddenly loses a vital leadership positions, and probably because of it, it jeopardizes its operation. The jeopardy of the operation is in various degrees. As a result, at times, it is short term, as the case might be. At times it is a very long term. Now this is something which is goes on and on and on. This is something which is very wrong. So and at times there are positions which are of no return. Now this is what I would love to tell upon out here. Absolutely position of no return. This is if you do not have succession planning in place. Let me contextualize it. For succession planning in terms of employers, that means the employer would have enough sufficient number of talent. Talent in this person, in this case, would be resources. Resources is nothing but your employees with the requisite abilities, qualities, qualification, and experiences for the key roles and tasks. This is what is very important for the employer. For the employee, it provides an exactly a clear opportunity to grow, to learn, to evolve, to advance in their career. For the customers are the best one who has been rewarded because come what may, results are almost identical. There are no depreciation as far as quality is concerned. Employees and services that are reliable, knowledgeable, and do meet their expectation. So yes, in totality, the customer doesn't lose. In totality, even the business doesn't lose their own customers for that matter. So this is what we should be striving for. It. Employee and leadership development recruits and retains a workforce that is not only competent, motivated, adaptive, and safe working. Establish a participative collaborative organization. This is what is very important, dedicated to the continual learning and improvement, ensures employees institutionalize knowledge, the knowledge is retained and improved upon over a period of time, provides a focus and emphasize on the opportunities for the leadership position, for the professional development, for understanding the operation and the process of the company and how does it functions. It is a well integrated effort right from top management to the middle level managers and the supervisors all together. So yes, it's an employee and leadership development. Yes, it becomes a clear indications for the employee that this company cares for you, and there are ample of opportunities if you shape yourself in a requisite fashion. It understands the requirement of the day. It is a win-win situation not only for the employer but also for the employee. Not only for the employee but also for these end customers. Now, this is what is very important. So, employee retention and satisfaction improves by leaps and bounds. Management of the core competencies are done in a very easiest of fashion because there is a transfer of knowledge, transfer of skills, transfer of processes, and things like that. Workforce succession preparedness is there? Absolutely yes. We are looking at basic component like institutionalize the process and capturing the stakeholder support then and there. Conduct assessment of the organization needs. Develop succession planning model. Implement succession planning strategies. Continuously measure, evaluate, adapt as what is to be done and what is required. So now allow me to discuss a proxy example with a proxy situation, but real life format that I am not disclosing, but you can exactly use this format to improve or to understand the succession planning of your organization, of the company that you are working for. And obviously, yes, you have to rate your organization on a scale of 5, 1 being the least one, as in never, and 5 being the always or the maximum number of times everything has been thought ahead of it. So first, in the foremost basic step, if you look into it, we are talking about succession planning. Step number zero is succession planning. Did I say 5 or 6 steps? Yes, if you look into it. So in succession planning, we use the succession plan that is up to date and one of the most important in staffing tool. You need to ask these questions to all your employees, and probably they would be rating on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the least weightage and 5 being the most weightage per se. You can have a weighted average score at the end of it. Our succession plan is an integral part of the companies. If you are going to ask these two questions, and you will get the basic step. Summation of 1 and 2 will give me a total sum which can be again average out here. This is something which you can average it down altogether, right? So this is what we are looking for it. Now, step number one is developing the roadmap for leadership and probably succession planning. Again, on a scale of 1 to 5, this is scale number 1, which is minimum, and 5, which is the maximum that can be gone around it. So, what are we talking about? We have institutionalized the process and capture the stakeholder support. That means every employee is aware of it and every employee is working towards the succession planning. So we get confident from commitment from decision maker, right from the top management. We demonstrate why it is required, why it is needed, how does it benefit us. If people are going to go around in and mark you, obviously rate you your process altogether. This is what comes around it. Then we say we gather resources from developing and implementing the plan, again from on a scale of 1 to 5, and how it goes around it in terms of senior leadership, civil servant, union representative, employee groups, and others as the case might be. We understand the role of succession planning in achieving the strategic vision, the strategic goals of our organization. What do we go around it? Wherein an employee understand what the company is striving for and how it is going to manage its resources in due courses of time. So, do we take succession planning as a priority? If you say yes, probably you can rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. Is it a part of your long-term goal or the strategic goals? You need to understand whether our organizations are incorporating succession planning in every functional arenas, every functional operational issues. Do we have the key people which can be replaced as on when on required, and the operation of the company is not been hampered at all? This is what we need to understand. Again, the same case, you need to score it on the scale of 1 to 5, sum it up, and probably make an average out here. You can make a total around here and then make an average. Step number C is the the gap analysis I'm talking around it. Now, gap analysis can be done in step number 4 or 5. Probably right now, you need to understand what is exactly happening in the company, as is assessment, as I say so, wherein we collect organization and demographic data. Demographic data is the employee's age, joining, tenure, experiences, qualification that comes around it. Are they looking for decision makers? Are they technically sound, and so on and so forth? So we need to understand those demographic data. First, collect this. Again, you can rate it on the scale of 1 to 5. Similarly, for key position, are there enough ample alternative people around it? And what are the position which is more critical? You need to identify them and again probably rate it. So we identify conditions and availability of resources in terms of manpower, in terms of experiences, in terms of networking. Simple and straight, this is an exact process of what is there in the company as of this moment. So this is an as is assessment which needs to be again rated on a scale of 1 to 5 total and made an average about here. Now, to be assessment. Now, what we aspire to be. See, did I say about gap analysis? Now, what was the first, the second A step? It was all about what is present. Now, what do we aspire to be? Something which is very simple. What is the future promises that we are looking at it? What are the goals that the company is aspiring? And what are the upcoming changes in the industry, the technology, the paradigm, the customer preferences, the taste, the employees requirement? Are this been catered to? Again, you need to rate it on scale of 1 to 5, sum it up, probably make an average around here. So we have an as is arrangement, and then we have the future aspirational needs. So in between would be your gap analysis. So if there are missing things, that is the gap that we have identified. We are looking for conducting the gap analysis, simple modalities of scale of Likert scale of from 1 to 5 that we goes around it, sum it up and then make an average around it. What are the questions that we should be targeting? Is our workforce, is our employees future ready? Are we prepared to incorporate future technologies? Are we prepared to accommodate future orientations in terms of customer preferences? What is that is required in the to be required in the talent of our employees per se? How do we go around here? These are things that needs to be addressed time and again. Every moment you need to go around it, right? If you have understood it, you need to rate it on scale of 1 to 5, sum it up and come up with an average. This is where we are trying to identify the leadership roadmap. This is the step number 3, where we are trying to look up the succession planning model altogether. What employees are involved in the program? How many employees are involved in the program? What are the critical positions that we are looking at it? How are we building the talent pool altogether? Did we already identify people? Did we expose those identified people into different conferences, different case studies, different examples, different responsibilities? Have they gone through a wide array of experiences within the company? If so, how do we go around here? Next is the roadmap for screening. The succession planning. Now, this continues, altogether continues. We are looking for succession planning model. We are trying to develop resources, probably deploy them for implementation, or if there are any barriers to it. If you think so, it will come to around it. Now, basically, we are trying to find that gap analysis and probably the perception that the employees or the respondent has along it, and we need to update the various job descriptions that comes around, and probably is taking changes. Can we link this up with succession planning? That is what we are looking into it. Again, to be ranked on a Likert scale of 1 to 5, some summation needs to be taken care of and average needs to be taken around here. This is the last step that comes around it, where you have measured all these steps and the averages are to be mentioned out here in every of the corners that comes around here, and it will give you what? It will give you a clear cut picture when you total it up and make an average. This is the scale that becomes very, very important, because this will tell you what kind of companies are you working with. Succession planning is being built in or is yet to be identified. The scoring sheet will give you what kind of process. The basic steps for scoring It is again now is the time when you will actually rate on the scale to 5, 1 to 5, because it's all of an average thing. It will score 3.5, 4.6, or approximately 4.9. Very good, extremely good, or towards 5, if I may say so. That means the company is completely motivated for succession planning. Company is keeping abreast with the ever changing situations in the environment of the industry, of the company, as the case might be. So it's just an average that comes around it, and this is an exercise scoring chart. Now, if this scoring chart can be mapped, you can map it around here. Like this can be a bar graph that comes around it, or this can be a bar graph that can touch. Probably, absolutely, this is the touch that comes around it. So it will give you a good picture, pictographical representation of what we can go around it. Additionally, just for your understanding, what are the things that needs to be avoided, pitfalls to avoid for succession planning? I'll just discuss in the subsequent slides the succession planning model thereby, and the planning tips for the smaller organization, if I may so. One and the most important pitfall is keeping it secret. Why do you want to keep it secret? Because the moment you keep it secret, people will never come to know and probably will be suspicious about your evaluation or their continuity with their organization. If things become transparent, probably people will not only cooperate with you but will participate with enhanced enthusiasm. So underestimating talent within is something which is very wrong that comes around it. People look for fresh bloods other than the organization, outside the organization, probably that can be done, or homegrown employees. Narrow-minded thinking, either they are too old, too young, too rough, too different, as in the halo effect comes in and walks around it, focusing exclusively on hard skill, not offering training, development opportunities, expecting employees to self-identify, volunteer themselves. This is not to be done. At the end of the day, a wrong person in a right position will mar the operation of the organization. The organization should evaluate the person and select the right person in the right place. Consider only upward succession, lateral, one size fit all programs. Producing too many candidates for too few spots, well, this will only promote a sense of discontentment among the employees. Things should be in proportion to one another. Succession planning model, let's say we can have a leadership pipeline body where we are trying to build a sustainability of organization leadership, and how do we go for the tools? It can be the competency models of the leaders, it can be the talent pool of the leadership development program, or it just can be leadership mentoring themselves. Similarly, for critical position of critical function successors, you should always try to mitigate the attrition and the employee mobility on the utilities critical functions. Now, how do you go around it? First and foremost, ensure how many people are retiring. Mentoring, apprentice shadowing, job function, performance aids, self-development and training, develop layers of depth to perform organizational function, staff development plans, cross-training and work rotation, job functional certification, and so on and so forth that comes around here. Basic possibilities that I would love to share with the audiences out here is all about cross training. When I say cross training, it can be cultural training. People are coming from different walks of life. People should be multiple skilled. People from different backgrounds or different knowledge set can be a great assets for the company. Recruit from civil service, the government employees who are supposedly deemed to be fit and they understand the operations of any organizations. Probably take their responsibility, take the persons who are active, physically active, and are willing to work, put in some labors. So recruit from civil service examination, examine potential candidate pools day in and day out. Take candidates from Ivy League universities, retirees, part-timers, contractor. You have so many possibilities to continue with your succession planning. Then we can have the other thing way around it. Can we sublet that work, that job, that things to the vendor, which we are not going to, or we are not able to manage it? For example, certain functions like information and communication, certain functions like electricals, payrolls. Payrolls has been automated of late. Retirees can be looking into redundancy training, transition and vacation, sick perhaps, or leisure perhaps. the way you want to go around it. So everything can be thought in a different angle, or something from out of box will come up with a wonderful succession planning possibility. What are we looking into it? Is the standard operating procedures, having employee write down what are the how to perform multiple critical tasks from the perspective of someone who knows nothing and needs to able to do it as on when on basis. Help them to create a video, help them to understand and watch the video to make them understand and get understood via demonstration. Describe it, and this is nothing but institutional knowledge that is been getting embedded. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the very end. I am sure succession planning process and steps is amply clear to all the audience. Thank you once again.